Hey, welcome to Rural Strong Live. Today presented by Soil Test Pro. Fertilizer's expensive. Soil Test Pro can help. Visit them at soiltestpro.com to learn 12 easy steps to soil sampling and learn how to put Soil Test Pro to work for you. Well, today's special guest is the sales manager for Soil Test Pro, Patrick Campbell. And now that we're in the spring soil sampling season, I wanted to bring him on to talk about some of the things that you should be thinking about before you head out into the field. And Patrick, welcome into Rural Strong Live.
Thanks for having me again, Brent.
Hey, we had a chance to share some time and connect and do some videos down at the National Farm Machinery Show here a few weeks ago, and you've been just going about as fast as you can ever since then, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to a few farm shows since then, getting out and being with some of our larger customers on a regular basis this spring, and also just working here in the office with the team, getting things ready for the busy season ahead of us.
Well, we're absolutely in the crunch time here. It's soil sampling season. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of soil sampling, let's talk a bit about sampling in general. Is there an advantage to doing it in the spring as opposed to doing it in the fall once crops are out?
I don't really think there's an advantage to spring or fall sampling. Like we talked about the last time we discussed this, it's just consistency. You want to do the same thing year in, year out. That way your results are the same. You're getting it either before the crop's put in or after the crop's taken off, so that you have those consistent results each time you sample.
And how often should farmers be sampling?
Really, that's up to the grower. Most guys are doing it on a 3 to 4 year turnover. That way they're not sampling all their ground all at once. They can go out, they can sample a quarter of their acres every year until they're back to the first quarter that they sampled, and then they're ready to start over again. With the way crop removal's done, computers are set up to where they can really figure out year after year what you've taken out with the crop from your baseline samples and what you need to put back.
And what information can you get from your soil that will help an agronomist put together a soil fertility plan that best suits your fields?
Well, really with the soil test, you're wanting to get that baseline set of samples. That way you can get them in there so that you know what your baseline nutritionals are, and then he can make recommendations for your fertility program over the next 4 years.
And we always say in the commercials, fertilizer's expensive, we can help. And let's talk a bit about the importance of understanding what's in the soil so you can save money by placing fertilizer right where you need it and not over fertilizing fields.
Yeah, really, when you think about it, the smaller the grid size, the more precise you're going to be. But the same as with fertilizer prices. If you get too small, soil sampling is going to get kind of expensive. So we like to keep guys on that 2.5 to 5 acre grid. That way the computer can really interpolate what is in between the points, and then we can make good recommendations from there for all of your nutrients, from your NP and K clear down to your boron, zinc, manganese, stuff like that.
So when we're talking about sampling fields, how should we think about tackling that job, and how can Soil Test Pro's tools help?
There's a lot of ways guys can sample. You can do it on a straight grid. You can do it based on your soil types. There's a lot of different ways to create zones out there, whether you're creating zones off of yield maps, zones off elevations. You just got to decide what's best with your farm and stay consistent in what you're doing so that you get consistent results year after year.
And before we head out into the field, what kind of supplies are needed?
Well, if the grower is using Soil Test Pro, he can go online to his account. He can get his soil test supplies there. Needs a probe. You're going to need a good clean bucket. And I say clean bucket because you don't want any trace minerals that's left in the bucket contaminating your soil, getting sent off to the lab and really skewing your results. You're going to need good soil sample bags. You can get them at a lot of farm stores, or you can order them off of our website, soiltestpro.com. Good soil probe. And I tell everybody, take a can of Pam with you. Keep that probe sprayed down. That way your soil comes out of it real easy and you're not fighting to get wet, sticky mud out of a probe.
So once you're in that predetermined grid, how many samples should you take from each location?
You know, it really, it's indifferent. You want to get a good 6-inch core. You want to get a good mixture of soil. So you get in there. I tell everybody, make sure you're sampling right there around the UTV. You don't want to go out to the corners of the grid. You want to allow that computer room to interpolate and not have results taken from all over the place. So you're going to look 6 to 8 cores. Is going to get you sufficient if you're at 6-inch depth. If you're doing something different, you really just want, there's a line on the bag. You want to make sure you get it filled up there so the lab has enough soil to do the testing on.
So walk me through what you do with the collected samples once you have them in your bucket and in your bag.
It's real simple. You're going to close out the job in soiltestpro.com or Soil Test Pro on the mobile app. It's going to automatically sync back over to soiltestpro.com. You're going to go to your computer. You're going to sit down. You're going to select your lab in your package. We've got a lot of labs that guys can choose from. Just like time of year, you want to use the same lab time after time so that your results are consistent. You're going to select your lab in your package. You're going to order your test. You're going to print out the packing sheet. The packing sheet is very, very key to all of this because all you do in the field is you write down a sample ID number on the bag. You don't have labels or anything like that. That packing sheet or shipping sheet is what tells the lab what they want to do. So it's imperative that you pay for the job, you order the job, and print that shipping sheet and include it with your samples before you send them off. With your sampling supplies, you can get a shipping label, a prepaid shipping label to send your soil off to your selected lab. And with that, you want to stick it on there and get it sent out as soon as possible. That way it's not sitting there drying out. You want it to be as close to from when you took it out of the field to getting it to the lab as possible.
So once you're through all that, what happens once it goes to the lab?
The lab's going to go through their process. They're going to test it. The results are going to be sent back to us. They're automatically going to post to your Soil Test Pro account. Typically, you're looking 3 to 4 business days. As things heat up in the spring and the fall, sometimes it stretches out to 5 to 7 business days, depending on the lab. If you don't have them in 5 to 7 business days, you need to give us a call. Sometimes labs get one character wrong in something and it won't auto import. So Luke's got to go through and find it and manually import it. So 5 to 7 business days at the most, you should have your results in there. And then you can sit down with your agronomist, or if you're making the decisions yourself, you can sit down, you can go through our process on building your recommendations so that you can get that to the fertilizer company and get that product spread.
And we want to briefly talk about integrations because Soil Test Pro can be integrated into the John Deere Operations Center as well as the Beck's Seed Farm Server. Farm Server, yep. I should say.
Yeah, both of those platforms, very intuitive platforms. Soil Test Pro is the only platform that you can get fertility results into Operations Center and in the Beck's Farm Server. So if you're wanting to use those layers, those soil fertility layers in Operations Center to make some decisions on, you're going to want to use Soil Test Pro so that you can get that in there. Farm Server is the same way. Data flows smoothly between both systems, so that you can see your data in any platform and view it as a layer in any platform that you wish.
Excellent. Well, I tell you what, we talked earlier in the show about some folks being spring samplers, others being fall samplers. And I know a lot of people are getting ready to get out in the field now, but if you're a fall sampler, it's not too early. I mean, it's April 6th right now, but now's a good time to start thinking about getting those supplies early so you're not worrying about it and doing it at the spur of the moment come fall.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at how operations have changed on the farm, from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to now, things have just gotten busier. Scouting is more intense throughout the growing season. There's more spray application. There's more farms doing their own applications. So you're typically busy from spring through fall. And instead of spring, once side dressing's done, you just drive around and watch your crops, let the co-op go out and spray it. Guys are spraying their stuff now. So they're in the field all the time. They feel better than anybody. So go ahead and get your supplies ordered for this fall so that as you're putting the wrenches to the combine this fall, you're not forgetting to get your soil supplies ordered so that you can get out there as soon as that combine's done rolling.
Absolutely. Well, Patrick, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. And if folks want to know more about how to put Soil Test Pro to work for them, where can they go to learn more?
They can go to soiltestpro.com. Soil Test Pro is free to create an account and play with. You're never charged in that platform until you order jobs. So once you go out and pull soil samples and are ready to send them to the lab, that's the only time you're charged. So they can download now, start playing with it. If they're a fall sampler, they can get to know the platform, get their fields in there, and just get everything up and running and ready and learn the system on those rainy days and be ready to sample this fall.
Well, again, Patrick, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us and invite you to come back anytime to share the latest with Soil Test Pro.
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate you having me again.
And we want to thank Soil Test Pro for being great sponsors of Rural Strong Media, Rural Strong Live, and our Tractors and Troubadours radio show and podcast. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today and invite you to check out our Tractors and Troubadours podcast, where each week we bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music, Western swing and bluegrass. And we've got a lot going on there. Also, our great ag programming on there. We've got the Farm Gate with Stu Appold, or with Stu Ellis, Mark Appold's the Bottom Line Report, and the Ag Law and Tax Report with Roger McOwen, as well as the Dirt from Nutrien. And we continue to add more ag programming. We've got some more we're going to be announcing here in the coming weeks. So I hope you stay tuned to that. We're just trying to do all we can to serve rural America and be the definitive voice of rural America. So check that out, as well as Rural Strong Radio, which is our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. And just get plugged into everything we got going on. We're on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. So you can know everything that's going on about us and all of our sponsors, including Soil Test Pro. Well, I tell you what, it's time for us to get on out of here. This show automatically archives, so if you missed any of it, make sure you go back and check it on the replay. And we'll be back again with another live stream soon. And we hope you come back and bring along a friend. Have a great day, everybody.